boys. Oh, smoke. Don't count him out just yet. That's a pretty good looking ride he's got today.
Just battles for fifth.
Look at this. Ooh, he was thinking 3 wide, man.
Because he got off of turn 4 so good that last time.
Yeah, he thought, man, I could go down to the bottom, but not worth it. Now he's thinking, man, I could go right through there, but not worth it.
That hole closes up too fast.
That's a sucker hole right there.
The thing that amazes me is you can run side by side like that. And at most short tracks, the guy in front of you would just be getting further and further away, and that's not really the case here today.
Yeah, you can carry good momentum high and low. Tony's going to get just a little bit impatient here, and it's not going to be very much longer. Take just so much of this, 2 guys in front of you kind of holding you up. That's how he feels.
Matt Kenseth displacing Kevin Harvick as the point leader, as Harvick's had several difficulties today. He's running back in 16th.
There is no question Tony is faster than those cars in front of him, but they got him blocked. He's in a box back there.
You know what he tells me, him sitting there like he is, he really likes those 2 guys.
Well, he really trusts those 2 guys, I would guess, because and I would say that Matt Kenseth and even more so Jeff Burton are 2 fellas that if anybody's going to give you enough room on the racetrack for your car, that's 2 of them.
You know who he's talking to, don't you? Go ask the spotters. Go tell the 31 or the 17 to get in line because you're holding me up.
Jimmie Johnson closing on the leader. He and Kurt Busch have been the class of the field most of the day. This just won't quit.
No, Tony's got you can see right there. He'll get him now. Now he got him lined up a little bit and think he'll be all right.
And yet they remain 7/10 of a second behind Greg Biffle, the 4th place car.
He overdrove turn 1 and 2 that last time. You see the old 14 car wash up the racetrack.
But Larry, that's what you become very impatient. You get a little frustrated, start driving in the corner a little harder. Not a good idea because all you'll do is get your tires worn down, get them hot, and then you won't be able to go.
120 laps to go. The rains predicted for about 4 o'clock today have held off, but for one brief shower that put us under caution for 20 laps.
It's a perfect day for racing, really. It's overcast and not terribly hot. The track's got a lot of grip.
Jeff Burton in the 31, he drove away from these 2 cars here. There you see him right there. He's pulled up actually behind Greg Biffle in 16, who's in 4th. I tell you what, up at the front, that lead is shrinking for Kurt Busch in that 2 car. That 48 is hounding him now.
Jimmie has led twice today for 77 laps. Kurt has led 200 laps today. Steve?
And Mike, Jimmie Johnson has spent this entire race trying to take care of that right front tire. The last 2 stops, Chad Canal said your right front looks great. But Jimmie said, I thought I was being a little abusive. But he said, just focus, we got a trophy to go get.
But I've said this over and over about Jimmie Johnson, and we're not anywhere near the end here. We got 115 laps to go, but who's the best closer you've seen in this sport in a long time?
Man running 2nd right now.
Yes, sir.
Jeff Burton has caught Greg Biffle. This is for 4th.
Now, most of these cars, they have been out there about 60 laps on these tires. Of course, we did have those caution laps in there, so they've actually probably got about 40 green laps for the most part.
You know, I said in the opening of the show, Mike, that Jeff Gordon said that the 2 tracks that are most tiring is Bristol and Watkins Glen, particularly when you have these long greens like this. We have had enough cautions kind of to break it up, but when you go long green here late in the day, you're hanging on for dear life at the end of this race.
Don't forget Biffle ran 300 laps yesterday in the nationwide race as well. Kurt Busch leading Jimmie Johnson by half a second in the Food City 500.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by AT&T, a better 3G experience, and by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand. Put some NASCAR in your car with the One, Mobil 1.
Caution is out at Bristol for the second rain shower of the afternoon, and Brad Keselowski does not pit with the rest of the leaders, so he picks up the lead.
We actually had two other cars that stayed out. Jeff Gordon in the 24 car and Elliott Sadler in the 19. Now, this was the race off pit road under this caution.
Matt Kenseth pitting on the backside and coming up into this group.
Everybody's going 35, right?
Exactly.
Exactly is exactly right.
This is the first Bristol race with more than 20 lead changes in 20 years. 1991 we had 40 lead changes, and there you see some of the low-hanging clouds over Bristol, Tennessee. Let's go out to LA as we get a brief rain shower. Rick Dickert, our Fox Sports storm scout. Is this another scattered shower, or is this the start of something big?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, as the afternoon progresses, we're going to see a better chance of more persistent rain. And you can see on the radar, it's really starting to fire up here. A lot more action in and around Bristol here. Mostly light stuff, and a lot of that not reaching the ground, but some of it is. And right now it's a cloudy and cool day in Bristol. So if we start to get any rain actually start to accumulate in and around the track, it'll take some time to evaporate. They'll have the dryers out, and I know those cars do a good job keeping the track clear. But as the afternoon goes on, we're going to see probably more of this. Light rain showers. Most of them will be brief. All the heavy stuff is still well off to the west, but you could see even to the south all this action pushing up, so we could see some more showers on and off as this race comes to an end.
Rick, we're going to need at least 30 minutes to get the rest of this race in. What do you think our chances are getting to 500 laps?
Yeah, I think we will, but there could be multiple cautions. You know, we are watching the showers as they push up, and as you can see to the south, because you can see it's all moving from the south towards the north around this low pressure system, which is still well to the west, and that's where the real heavy stuff is. I don't see any really heavy, persistent rain over the next hour or two. Most of that will hold off, but enough light shower activity that we could see a couple more cautions.
All right, thanks, Rick Dickert. In the words of our other famous forecaster, Carl Spackler, I don't think the heavy stuff is going to come down for quite some time.
That's the great thing about it, though. They can dry this concrete surface so well. And let's make sure we understand what has went on with these three cars that stayed out. Brad Keselowski and that group, they were last on pit road at lap 345. So they've got about 35 to 45 laps on their tires, and that would be not including the cautions. Now, the two cars I talked about behind him, Jeff Gordon in the 24, who was actually involved in that wreck on lap 340, he and Elliott Sadler, the 19 car that's showing third right now, those guys actually pitted on those cautions. So realistically, they only have about 25 to 30 laps on their tires. Based on Brad Keselowski early in the race, I think that's a great call on all three of those cars because, again, the more cautions they run, these tires are going to continue to cool down. It wasn't that long ago Elliott Sadler was a wave-around car.
103 laps to go. Brad Keselowski, who finished second in yesterday's nationwide race, is our leader.